Hello, I'm Kimberly, and welcome to the Native News Update. It's Thursday, May 3rd, and many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The Violence Against Women Act is facing another struggle to stay intact, this time in the House of Representatives. The House GOP looks likely to rewrite the Domestic Violence Prevention Bill, which passed the Senate last week, with the aim of stripping provisions for the Native Americans, undocumented people, and the LGBT community. The same provisions that the Senate Republicans tried to remove from the bill in February. But despite the Senate's ultimate passage of the bill, which included the support of 14 Republican senators, the House is ready to fight these provisions again. Their version of the bill also removes the protections of marginalized communities. The Keweenaw Bay Indian community in Upper Peninsula is appealing to the United Nations in an effort to restrain sulfide mining. The tribe hopes to strengthen its position through an international agreement signed by the Obama administration. The community says mines that produce sulfuric acid can pollute the water and threaten places sacred to the tribes in the Great Lakes. The Keweenaw tribe fought the Eagle Mine, a new copper and nickel mine under construction in Marquette County. One of the issues raised was the mine's proximity to Eagle Rock, a rock outcropping that has been used for sacred ceremonies. Eagle Rock is prominently cited in the documents sent to the United Nations. It says tribes are overwhelmed by the development of the new mines, and the state of Michigan does not consider their culture when issuing permits. Many American Indian tribes are raising issues like these with the UN now because the United States endorsed the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People in 2010. A UN official is visiting this week to gather information about implementing the declaration. An attorney for the Keweenaw tribe says the declaration is not law. It's a political document that sets out principles, but she says it could lead to new laws that could help tribes in the Great Lakes region oppose sulfide mining. The Moapa Paiute tribe, just outside of Las Vegas, is trying to persuade the federal government that its community faces serious health risks from a nearby coal-fired power plant by appealing to a national campaign to increase visibility at national parks. The tribe has 300 members, roughly half of whom live on the reservation bordering the Reed Gardner generating station in rural northern Nevada. For years, tribal members have complained of skin irritation, lung disease, thyroid problems, aggravated asthma, cardiovascular and heart disease, and frequent nosebleeds. Their insistence that these health woes can be linked to the foul air pouring from the plant's multiple smokestacks have long been ignored, largely because there is no direct medical evidence to back up their claims.
The contractors, when I was working with them, they'd go ahead and say, it's pretty much a death trap. You breathe in this stuff, it's going to ruin your body.
Usually I talk on the phone, I said, there's blowing across the window, I can see it, and I just don't go outside and I don't walk those days.
On its worst day, it would be like walking in a sandstorm. You can't really breathe, it's just there.
We've got a warning, and there's going to be a lot of coal ash flying around. Please don't let my son or daughter go out.
I can taste it. Taste the salts going down in my throat. So you can't get out. You're essentially imprisoned in your own home.
The tribe took part in the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's first public hearing on the coal plant on May 3rd. The meeting was part of an ongoing effort to improve visibility at national parks and wilderness areas by curbing pollution from coal-fired power plants. The Reed Gardner plant affects visibility at 5 national parks, including the Grand Canyon in Arizona, Zion in Utah, and Joshua Tree National Monument in California. To learn more about the plight of the Mauapa, you can visit earthjustice.org/illwind. The Eastern Shoshone tribe wants to argue against the Northern Arapaho tribe's plan to kill bald eagles for religious purposes on the reservation the two tribes share in central Wyoming. The Eastern Shoshone tribe filed papers May 2nd asking U.S. District Judge Alan B. Johnson to allow it to enter the lawsuit that the Northern Arapaho filed last year against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The federal agency in March granted the Northern Arapaho permits to kill 2 bald eagles this year, but the Northern Arapaho rejected the permit offer, saying it would unacceptably limit them to killing eagles outside the Wind River Reservation where state law prohibits killing eagles. U.S. District Judge Johnson has set arguments in the case for August. Rush Group and Faurecia have announced the creation of Detroit Manufacturing Systems, a joint venture that will manufacture and assemble automotive interior components in the city of Detroit. DMS expects to employ about 500 people in Detroit within the next 3 years. DMS has also announced that it will be providing cockpit interiors for the Ford Mustang, Expedition, and Lincoln Navigator, making Ford Motor Company its first customer. DMS is in the process of certification as a Native American woman-owned business enterprise. Run by Andrea Rush, whose Rush Group family of companies has more than 25 years of experience as a supplier to automotive manufacturers. The company's manufacturing and assembly operations will be based in the Gateway Industrial Center in Detroit, Michigan. Andrea Rush's long-term vision has been to be a part of solutions that improve lives, building dreams, and create awesome products that all are proud of. We are incredibly fortunate to have found a partner in Faurecia and our customer Ford Motor Company who are committed to the mission of collaborating and developing win-win-win business models that lead to innovation and long-term successful relationships. This in turn helps create sustainable businesses that can create true economic development in the city of Detroit and other communities across North America. Charity Navigator, the nation's top charity evaluation system, has awarded the American Indian College Fund a coveted 4-star rating for sound financial management and transparency, making this the fund's 3rd consecutive 4-star rating. Charity Navigator applies data-driven analysis to the charitable sector to evaluate charities' effectiveness, then publishes that data on their website to help donors evaluate their giving choices using information Charity Navigator gathers to form a picture of the charity's accountability, governance, transparency, and quantifiable results with their recipients, which reflects how it executes its mission in a fiscally responsible way. Only 9% of the charities that Charity Navigator rate have received at least 3 consecutive 4-star evaluations, indicating that the American Indian College Fund outperforms most other charities in America. For more information on the fund, you can visit collegefund.org. 2 young brothers set out on a quest honoring the ultimate sacrifice of a true American hero. When 10-year-old Michael Mazzarello Jr. walked into the antique and collectible store in Newburgh, New York, he said he had his mind set on buying a G.I. Joe figurine. But after learning that wasn't in stock, his attention shifted to something far more important: 4 Purple Hearts and other medals of honor. One particular award, accompanied by a Bronze Star and Good Conduct Medal, caught Michael's attention. They all had the same name, Charles J. George. Intrigued by the fact that these were the only medals that had a name inscribed on them, Michael was able to convince the store owners to give him the Purple Heart free of charge, and he set out on a mission to track down and return it to its owner. He just felt that the medals did not belong in the antique shop, they belonged in the hands of a family member. Michael and his 8-year-old brother Mario searched high and low for Private Charles George, scouring the internet, contacting the Purple Heart Museum and local veterans. It was finally a YouTube video they found last week that led them to the Cherokee tribe in North Carolina. Come to find out, George was more than a tribal hero, he was a tribal treasure. An annual memorial service honors him, and the local Veterans Hospital was also renamed in his honor.
This past spring, we were visited by the son of Corporal Armando Ruiz. He drove from California to spend a few days. His primary mission was to pay honor and his respects to Private First Class Charles George. He indicated that had it not been for Private First Class George, he would not be here today. He brought and left with us a interview that his father had with a newspaper reporter in 1999. And I'm going to read that to you this morning. Medal of Honor. A raiding party left the positions of Company C, 179th Infantry Regiment, 45th Infantry Division. It was near Song Ne Dong, Korea. The patrol had instructions to engage the enemy and bring back a prisoner. The key terrain feature was a steep, rugged slope. The patrol started moving up in the darkness. Suddenly, a machine gun opened fire from the crest Then mortar rounds started falling. There was small arm fire. There were several of the patrol on the ground wounded. The party forged ahead. Corporal Armando Ruiz and Private First Class Charles George, an American Indian, gained the crest at about the same time and leaped into the trenches. It was hand to hand. Then it was quiet. The enemy had been silenced. Another soldier and I stayed behind with PFC George to act as rear guards when the patrol moved out. We were there for a while when one of the enemy threw a grenade. I didn't see it at first, but George yelled at me, "Get out of the way!" The other guy was close to it, so George gave him a shove and then threw himself on the grenade. He saved us both. The Chinese were moving back to their positions, and the two soldiers picked up their wounded comrade and started moving down the hill. They could tell that George was badly hurt, and they could see the intense pain in his eyes. There was nothing they could do for him except get him back to safety. Both men held their breath, fearing that George would cry out in pain and bring the Chinese down around their heads. Private First Class George didn't even whimper. The two soldiers got George back to the aid station. The medics did their best, but Private First Class George died shortly after the bandages were put on.
Michael and Mario located Private George's family by leaving a comment on the video. The family and the tribe was so happy that the medals were found that they have invited the boys to North Carolina to present them at a ceremony. Warren Dupree, the service officer for the Steve Young Deer American Legion Post 143 in Cherokee, North Carolina, narrated the video, and it turned out that he knew a lot about Charles George. Dupree suspected the medals were lost when George's parents traveled in 1954 to New York City to accept a Medal of Honor on their son's behalf. George was one of only 133 soldiers who were awarded the Medal of Honor during the Korean War. Neither of his parents spoke English, and the big city would have been overwhelming, Dupree said. It wouldn't have been hard for the medals to disappear. Michael is thrilled by what he has found. He sums up the search like this: "We went to looking for G.I. Joe, a real American hero, and we came out with a real American hero, Charles J. George."
Private First Class George, a member of C Company, distinguished himself by conspicuous gallantry and outstanding courage above and beyond the call of duty in action against the enemy on the night of 30 November 1952. He was a member of a raiding party committed to engage the enemy and capture a prisoner for interrogation. Forging up the rugged slope of the key terrain feature, the group was subjected to intense mortar and machine gun fire and suffered several casualties. Throughout the advance, he fought valiantly and, upon reaching the crest of the hill, leaped into the trenches and closed with the enemy in hand-to-hand combat. When friendly troops were ordered to move back upon completion of the assignment, he and two comrades remained to cover the withdrawal. While in the process of leaving the trenches, a hostile soldier hurled a grenade into their midst. Private First Class George shouted a warning to one comrade, pushed the other soldier out of danger, and, with full knowledge of the consequences, unhesitatingly threw himself upon the grenade, absorbing the full blast of the explosion. Although seriously wounded in this display of valor, he refrained from any outcry which would divulge the position of his companions. The two soldiers evacuated him to the forward aid station, and shortly thereafter he succumbed to his wounds. Private First Class George's indomitable courage, consummate devotion to duty, and willing self-sacrifice reflect the highest credit upon himself and uphold the finest traditions of the military service. For he was our brother in arms, and we will always remember both his courage and his bravery.
And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me and have a grand day.